Have you ever felt like something shifts dramatically after age 80? Why does life seem quieter, yet somehow heavier, beyond that milestone? And what are the unspoken truths no one prepares you for in this chapter of life? It's not just aging, it's a whole new reality. In this video, we're diving deep into 5 surprising challenges of life after age 80. These are the things people don't talk about: emotional changes, social shifts, and quiet struggles that can take even the strongest by surprise. But here's the good news. There are ways to face each of them with courage, dignity, and hope. Stick with us until the very end for some heartfelt, practical tips that can help you, or your loved ones, truly thrive in this meaningful stage of life. If you find this video valuable, please give it a like. It helps us keep sharing honest, helpful conversations about aging. And if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button and turn on the notification bell so you never miss a new video. I'd also love to hear your feedback. Just comment 1 if you liked the video, or 0 if there's something I can improve. Your opinion matters. Let's begin with the first challenge: the shrinking world of social connection. After turning 80, something subtle begins to change. The once vibrant network of friendships, family gatherings, and casual conversations starts to fade. Not all at once, but slowly, quietly. It's not a dramatic event, but rather a gentle withdrawal, like the tide pulling back from the shore. The phone doesn't ring as often. Plans aren't made the way they used to be. Visits become less frequent, though no less cherished. Conversations that once felt effortless now feel scattered, even fragile. It's not just about fewer people, it's about the emotional weight of their absence. Life after age 80 often means facing a quieter world. But understanding this shift is the first step to finding new meaning, new rhythms, and new ways to stay connected, even as the old patterns begin to fade. This change doesn't happen in isolation. It's accompanied by a series of subtle yet deeply felt losses. Lifelong friends might move away to be closer to their own children, struggle with chronic illnesses that limit their ability to stay connected, or, in some cases, pass away. Each absence creates a gap, one that new acquaintances, no matter how kind, can't quite fill. At the same time, family members, caught up in the demands of their careers, raising children, or simply managing life, may unintentionally drift away. Their phone calls and visits, once routine, become less frequent, less predictable. Gradually, moments once filled with shared laughter, familiar voices, and the comfort of daily check-ins are replaced by longer stretches of silence. What used to be a house full of sound and rhythm may now echo with stillness. This shift isn't about resentment or self-pity. It's a quiet truth, one that few speak of openly. Life after age 80 demands more effort to sustain relationships, and even then, the world seems to make assumptions that you're less mobile, less involved, or content to be alone. Invitations slow down, not out of cruelty, but out of habit, convenience, or oversight. And even for those who have never needed constant company, there's a new and unexpected weight to the quiet. It's not classic loneliness. It's something softer, more complex. A subtle ache for the ease of connection that once came without effort. In this quieter space, reflection takes center stage. Memories become more than just mental snapshots. They turn into companions. The sound of laughter from an old conversation, the comfort of a spouse's morning greeting, or the routine of a weekly dinner with close friends begins to shine with a gentle golden light. These aren't just memories. They're a way to hold loved ones close, even in their absence. There is no weakness in turning inward. It's not a retreat. It's an adjustment to a new rhythm, one that still holds beauty, if we know where to look. Still, this phase of life reveals something profoundly important: the enduring value of even a few close, meaningful connections. You don't need a crowd. Sometimes, just one or two trusted confidants make all the difference. Maybe it's a longtime friend who still picks up the phone, a family member who genuinely listens, or a neighbor who checks in with a kind word and a warm smile. These relationships, though fewer in number, become anchors, steady, reliable sources of emotional strength and stability. As the broader social circle thins, the depth of these remaining bonds becomes even more significant. Their presence grows richer, more nourishing. The closeness, the shared history, the mutual understanding, they bring a sense of grounding, of belonging. Holding on to your identity, your story, and these select relationships becomes a vital part of staying emotionally healthy. They remind you that even in a world that has grown quieter, connection still matters, and may even matter more than ever. If you've made it this far in the video and are finding value in these reflections, I'd be grateful if you could comment 1 below. It lets me know you're still with me and that these insights are resonating. Thank you for spending this time with me. Now, let's turn to the second reality: how small health issues can quickly become much larger challenges. This is one of the more sobering shifts that often becomes apparent in your 80s. The body, once your reliable partner through years of life's adventures, starts to require much more care. The resilience that once felt automatic begins to fade. Something as simple as a cold, which might have passed in a day or 2 decades earlier, now hangs on, lingering for weeks, draining your energy and demanding careful attention. A small bruise that once healed without a second thought may now remain for weeks, stubborn and slow to fade, a quiet reminder of the body's changing pace. And minor accidents, like a twisted ankle or a short stumble on the stairs, can carry far more serious consequences. What might have once been shrugged off could now lead to weeks of recovery, physical therapy, a series of doctor visits, or in some cases, even surgery. This isn't just about physical vulnerability. It's about learning to navigate a body that responds differently, moves more cautiously, and heals on its own time. And recognizing these changes is the first step to adjusting with care, patience, and preparedness. This shift isn't just about the body moving slower. It's about a deeper transformation in how it recovers. The margin for error, once wide and forgiving, becomes much narrower. Small oversights that might have gone unnoticed before, like missing a meal, forgetting to stay hydrated, or pushing through a bout of fatigue, can now throw your system off balance. What used to be minor inconveniences can suddenly lead to dizziness, overwhelming weakness, or even a trip to the hospital. The strength and energy that once ran quietly in the background, allowing you to face each day with confidence, now demand intentional care and attention. You may still feel sharp, vibrant, and mentally strong, and in many ways you are, but your body's cooperation is no longer a given. This isn't something often talked about. Even among friends or peers, this shift is rarely acknowledged. Doctors may chalk it up to normal aging, while family members might brush it off as just another part of getting older. But you feel it clearly. Each recovery seems to cost more. Physically, yes, but also emotionally. There's a subtle frustration that comes with realizing your body no longer bounces back the way it used to. For those who've spent a lifetime being active, independent, or physically capable, the change can feel almost like a betrayal. It's hard not to take it personally when the body that once powered you through years of effort, achievement, and hardship begins to resist even the simplest tasks. And yet, hidden within this challenge is an opportunity to grow in a new way. Awareness becomes a powerful ally. By paying close attention to your body's signals, its need for rest, proper nourishment, hydration, or gentler movement, you begin to adapt, not out of weakness, but out of wisdom. This isn't about giving in to limits. It's about honoring what your body can still do, and protecting the energy and strength that remains. Slowing down doesn't mean giving up. It means learning how to move with intention, with care, and with respect for a body that, while different now, is still very much yours. This isn't about giving up. It's about making thoughtful, deliberate choices that protect your energy and well-being. Just as important as the physical adjustment is the emotional one. It takes a quiet kind of courage to face the vulnerability that comes with a changing body. It means acknowledging that healing now takes more time, and that self-compassion is no longer optional. It's essential. This chapter of life is no longer about proving that you're unshakable. It's about embracing a new kind of strength, one rooted in awareness. Strength is now defined by how attentively you listen to your body, how gently you care for it, and how willingly you give yourself the space to rest and fully recover. In choosing this path, you're not withdrawing, you're investing. You're preserving the vitality you still have, making it possible to continue showing up in the world on your own terms, in your own time. Let's look at another reality that often goes unspoken: the quiet loss of visibility in social spaces. After 80, one of the most unsettling changes can be how your presence begins to fade in group settings. It's not something people do on purpose. More often, it's the result of a subtle cultural undercurrent, a bias that's so deeply ingrained, many don't even realize it's happening. You walk into a room, and the dynamic doesn't shift like it used to. Your presence, once naturally acknowledged, now passes by unnoticed. You offer a thought in conversation, but others talk over you. Not because they're rude, but because they assume you've finished speaking. Social interactions speed up. You may find yourself needing to repeat things, to wait a little longer to be heard. And while it may not be intentional, the effect is the same. You begin to feel as though your voice is losing its place. At family gatherings, community events, or even during casual exchanges, there's a growing sense of invisibility. It's not that you're dismissed outright, but rather that your age seems to speak louder than your words. It casts a shadow over the depth of your experience, the insights you've spent a lifetime gathering. What you bring to the table doesn't change, but how others perceive it quietly does. This is not a loud rejection. It's a slower, more subtle kind of erasure, one that stems from a society increasingly built around youth, speed, and constant change. And in that rush, space is rarely made for the slower, more thoughtful rhythm that often comes with age. An older voice, seasoned by love, loss, and hard-won wisdom, may now be met with little more than polite nods. The stories you've lived, once capable of capturing attention and admiration, are too often acknowledged with courtesy rather than genuine curiosity. Your insights, perhaps sharper and more refined than ever before, are easily overshadowed by louder, younger voices. It can feel as if your age walks into the room ahead of you, silently broadcasting assumptions about your relevance, your energy, even your ability to contribute. And with that shift comes a quiet, emotional toll. There may be moments of sadness, an ache for the recognition you once received so naturally. Frustration may flare when your experience is brushed aside. And then there's the more subtle grief, the kind that arises not from loss of capability, but from a sense of fading visibility. It's not simply about being heard. It's about being seen, being acknowledged, feeling like your presence still counts. Yet, this reality is rarely spoken about openly. No one warns you how society quietly tunes out the voices of its elders, but calling it out for what it is brings power. This change does not reflect any decline in your worth. It reveals a shortcoming in a culture that often forgets to truly listen. Because your life, its triumphs, its scars, its gentle, unspoken moments, carries a depth that far exceeds surface attention. And those who choose to lean in, who really listen to your stories, your humor, your reflections, those are the ones who see your value clearly. Their presence, even if rare, is meaningful. They validate what so many overlook, that your voice still matters. So what do you do in response? You don't shrink back. You stand tall in your quiet strength. Speak your truth, even if it takes others a moment to catch up. Share what you know, what you've lived, and what you've learned, not with the need for applause, but with the confidence that your voice carries weight. Your words, seasoned by time and experience, hold a clarity the world may not realize it needs. But it does. And even if you no longer command the room in the way you once did, your calm presence speaks volumes. It stands as proof of a life lived fully, and of wisdom that will always be worth hearing. A life richly lived doesn't fade. It continues to speak, to inspire, to bear witness. By continuing to show up as a storyteller, a listener, a quiet observer of life, you remind others that wisdom doesn't expire. Grace doesn't retire. And most importantly, your story is far from over. Your presence is proof that every chapter still holds meaning. If you're still here with me, finding these reflections valuable, please leave a comment with the number 2 below. It lets me know you're still watching and walking this path with me. Thank you for giving your time to something so deeply personal and human. Now, let's look at another quiet but powerful shift: the narrowing of daily life. As you step into life beyond 80, one of the most profound challenges doesn't arrive with fanfare or dramatic change. It creeps in softly, almost unnoticed at first, not within your body, but in the slow, steady shrinking of your outer world. This isn't about one catastrophic loss. It's about the gentle, cumulative erosion of what once felt large, familiar, and full. A life that used to be shaped by comforting routines, familiar faces, and places visited without a second thought gradually becomes more contained. Streets once walked with ease start to feel longer. Spaces that once felt welcoming seem a bit more distant. Slowly, and without much warning, the borders of your world begin to pull inward. This narrowing doesn't happen all at once. It's a process that unfolds over time. You may begin to notice that you go out less frequently, not because you've lost interest, but because the effort required now feels heavier. A simple trip to the store might take more energy. A walk in the park, once a daily pleasure, might feel just a bit farther than it used to. Even a visit to a favorite cafe can seem more complicated to arrange, more tiring to complete. Physical factors often play a role: diminished stamina, slower mobility, the need to pace yourself. But it's not just the body that shifts. There's an emotional dimension too. The places you loved are still there, but the people tied to those places may have changed. Friends who once dropped by for a cup of coffee might have moved closer to their families. Others may be facing health issues. Some are no longer here. Even the neighborhood starts to evolve. Familiar faces you once waved to on your morning walk may have moved away, replaced by strangers who don't yet know your name. That sense of rootedness, so central for so long, begins to feel a little looser, a little more fragile. The faces around you begin to change. New neighbors, unfamiliar store clerks, people who don't yet know your name or your stories. The local diner where everyone once knew your order by heart might close its doors, replaced by a chain restaurant that feels sterile, indifferent. Your world doesn't disappear. It simply contracts, quietly, one familiar piece at a time. And with that contraction comes an emotional weight that builds slowly. At first, the loneliness might feel like background noise, faint, almost ignorable. But with time, it grows louder. It settles in. What was once a subtle hum becomes a more constant ache. Even those who have always taken pride in being independent may find this new quiet unsettling. There's something deeply painful about watching the familiar pillars of your daily life, people, places, and routines, slip out of reach. It's not just their absence that hurts. It's the awareness that despite your efforts to hold on, these pieces are still slipping away. And that realization brings with it a quiet kind of grief. But this grief isn't weakness. It's a reflection of how deeply you've loved, how much you've cared for the world you built, and the connections you nurtured. It's the price of a life well lived. And in recognizing that grief for what it is, you gain something powerful: clarity. The ability to name what you're feeling gives it shape, and with that understanding comes strength. Even as the world you once knew begins to shrink, space still remains for something new to take root. This new world may not be filled with travel or major events. Instead, it may be built around smaller, more intimate moments, ones that hold just as much meaning. A long, thoughtful conversation with a friend or family member can revive a sense of closeness. A bond with a younger person, a grandchild, a neighbor's child, or a friendly volunteer can offer fresh energy and unexpected joy. Sharing stories, whether through writing, recording, or simply speaking them aloud, keeps your past alive in the present. It offers a way to pass on what you've learned, to connect generations, to honor your life's journey. Because a life doesn't have to be large in scale to be rich in meaning. Sometimes, it's the smallest spaces that hold the deepest value. So take the steps, no matter how small, that keep your world vibrant. Make that phone call, even if it's to someone you haven't spoken to in a while. Join a community group, whether it's an in-person book club or an online discussion forum. Take a short walk, even if it's just to the mailbox or the end of the street. Yes, your world may look different now, shaped by time, change, and memory. But it is far from over. It continues to evolve. It still holds the possibility of laughter, of connection, of joy. And by staying engaged, by choosing to reach out, you ensure that your life, even if smaller in scale, remains full of color and vitality. If you're still with me, and these reflections resonate with you, please comment the number 3 below to let me know you're watching. Thank you for spending your time here with me. The body, once a predictable and steady companion, begins to behave differently. It no longer offers the same reliable signals you've grown used to over the years. Instead, it sends mixed messages, often at the most inconvenient times. One morning, you might wake up feeling sharp, full of energy, steady on your feet, ready to greet the day with confidence. Then, without warning, the very next day feels entirely different. Your movements slower, your thoughts hazier, your knees stiff, or your hands unexpectedly uncooperative. Even simple tasks, like buttoning a shirt or holding a coffee mug, can suddenly require more focus and care. These changes aren't just frustrating, they can feel deeply disorienting. After all, this is the body you've trusted for decades. It has carried you through seasons of love, loss, success, hardship, and everything in between. It's helped you work, build, care, and create. And now, it sometimes seems to operate on a schedule all its own, rewriting the rules without notice or explanation. You might plan a morning walk, only to be stopped in your tracks by a wave of fatigue you didn't anticipate. A simple motion, like bending to tie your shoe or reaching down to pick something up, might leave you winded or unsteady, needing a moment longer to recover. Sometimes, your body sends fleeting signals, a moment of dizziness, a strange tingling in your fingers, an unexplained ache that lingers briefly, then disappears as mysteriously as it arrived. These small but erratic shifts don't just affect your physical abilities. They slowly chip away at your sense of certainty. You begin to question, will I feel strong enough to do this today? Will I be steady on my feet? That hesitation creeps in, even in situations where you used to feel confident. You pause before stepping outside, not because you've lost capability, but because you're no longer sure how your body will behave. That uncertainty can cast a quiet shadow over your daily rhythm. It's not just a matter of slowing down, it's the unpredictability that rattles you. You're still you, but the ground beneath your feet can feel less secure, and with that comes a new kind of vulnerability, one you didn't expect, and one that makes even familiar moments feel unfamiliar. It's not weakness, but rather a new challenge, one that calls for patience, presence, and above all, compassion for the body that's still doing its best to carry you through. It's a deeply human reaction. To feel a quiet grief when your body no longer feels fully like your own. And it's okay to acknowledge that. It's okay to mourn the shift. But here's a powerful truth that can ground you in that moment. Even when your body becomes less predictable, your response to it remains fully within your control. Aging asks for a new kind of strength, not the kind that pushes through pain or ignores discomfort, but one rooted in flexibility, self-awareness, and compassion. You begin to plan your days with more intention. You pace yourself, choosing where to invest your energy so it truly counts. You learn to listen more carefully to the subtle cues your body gives you, whether it's asking for rest, a gentle stretch, or a bit of movement to keep the joints fluid and the mind engaged. Conversations with your doctor shift in tone. They become less about finding quick fixes and more about building understanding, about learning the new rhythms of your body, anticipating its needs, and taking steps to stay ahead of discomfort before it turns into crisis. That awareness becomes a kind of power. Knowledge replaces fear, and proactive care becomes your foundation. But this adaptability isn't only physical, it's deeply emotional too. It's about choosing kindness over frustration. When things take longer, when energy dips unexpectedly, you meet yourself with grace, not blame. You begin to see that using supportive tools, a cane, a reaching aid, or even a sturdy chair, isn't a defeat. It's a strategy. These aren't symbols of decline. They're quiet allies in your pursuit of independence. You modify routines to fit the new version of your day. Maybe that means breaking a task into smaller steps. Maybe you schedule outings for the part of the day when your energy feels strongest. These adjustments are not compromises. They're reflections of your resilience. And through them, you rediscover that while your body may not move with the same ease, your wisdom, your experience, and your ability to navigate life remain as powerful as ever. Thank you for spending this time with us as we explored 5 unexpected truths about life after 80. These reflections aren't just observations. They can be invitations to grow, to shift, to reimagine what it means to thrive in this stage of life. Now we'd love to hear from you. What's one insight from this video that truly resonated with you? How will you carry it into your own journey, or the journey of someone you love? Take a moment to reflect. What part of this message spoke to you the most? And more importantly, how might you bring that insight into your daily life? Whether it's a small shift in mindset, a renewed appreciation for your body's signals, or simply the courage to slow down and adapt with grace, every change begins with awareness. We'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. Your reflection could be exactly what someone else needs to hear today. And who knows? Your story might be the spark that gives someone else the strength to keep going. If this video brought value to your life, please take a moment to like, share, and subscribe to our channel. Your support helps us continue creating thoughtful, empowering content for older adults and their families. Because every voice matters, and every experience deserves to be honored. Thank you so much for being here. Wishing you continued strength, happiness, and peace on your journey. And don't forget to subscribe to Healthy Aging Blueprint for more inspiration, insights, and support.